Hello, good morning. Today's session is an introduction to the Microblaze processor. Okay, first let us take a look at today's goals. So before diving into the Microblaze processor, let us take a quick understanding of what a processor is, and then we'll have a basic understanding to the Microblaze processor, followed by its features. Okay, first, what is a processor? So what exactly is a processor? So a processor, when you think of a processor, the most basic definition that comes into our mind is that a processor is simply a brain of the entire system. So this is the generic definition, but as the professional student, you should be more particular and you should be more professional when it comes to defining a processor. So you can simply say that processors are the central processing and the coordination units of the entire system. Okay, that is the simple definition. So besides the coordination part, the processors are in charge of collecting the data from different peripheral modules or from the memory and process the data, and it stores the data into the memory. Okay, it is also responsible for storing the data. It stores the data into the memory or send it back to the different peripheral modules. Also the processor initializes the peripherals and hardware that is associated with that particular processor. Now let us take a look at the Microblaze processor. So what is a Microblaze processor? So it is a 32-bit RISC based processor. So what is a RISC? And it is a 32-bit size processor, and RISC is reduced instruction set computer. So a reduced instruction set computer. So the name itself says reduced instructions. That means the instructions are reduced. So simply you can write as simple instructions. So when the instructions are simple, what happens is the speed of execution is increased, right? So the speed is increased because the instructions are simple. The speed is increased. Thus you can say that the Microblaze processor is a fast processor, right? So it is a 32-bit processor and based on RISC architecture, which is designed and commercialized by Xilinx. Okay, and it has a clock frequency of up to 200 megahertz. That means one clock cycle, okay, the time taken to execute a single instruction is nothing but your clock cycle. Okay, the frequency is 200 megahertz. As the processor is a 32-bit processor, it has the ability, the Microblaze processor has the ability to include a 32-bit single precision floating point unit in the IEEE 754 format. So this increases the overall speed of the Microblaze processor. So this is just an introduction to the Microblaze processor. Okay, now let us take a look into its features. So what features does the Microblaze processor has to offer? So just like every other processor, the Microblaze also contains an ALU, the arithmetic and logic unit. So inside the ALU it also contains a shifter. So shifter is used to perform shifting operations. Okay, so like left shift, right shift, all sorts of shifting operations will be done by this shifter. Next, it has 32 general purpose registers. So each 32-bit in size. Your Microblaze processor is a 32-bit processor, right? So all the general purpose registers, so it has 32 general purpose registers, and since your processor is a 32-bit processor, the size of each general purpose registers will also be a 32-bit in size. Again, it has a 32-bit instruction word with 3 operands and 2 addressing modes. It is based on Harvard architecture. So again, what exactly is a Harvard architecture? So Harvard architecture means the processor contains separate buses for both address and separate bus for data. Okay, the processor contains separate buses for address and data, and single issue pipeline. By default it comes with a 3-stage pipeline, but depending on the requirement it also has the ability to include a 5-stage pipeline. So basically it comes with a 3-stage pipeline, which is instruction fetch, instruction decode, and instruction execute. Okay, depending on the complexity of the instruction, okay, it can also include a 5-stage pipeline. So these points, they are just an introduction. Okay, so these will be more than enough to understand the overall gist or the overall summary of the Microblaze processor. So that's all for today's session. Thank you.